I was reading threads today and a single question came into my mind. Can praying cure your mental illness? The cause of a lot of this discussion is a video from a certain Iman Kamil in which he talks about his depression and later getting tattoos, after which a whole bunch of people started criticizing and saying, oh, you're just doing stuff against religion and saying depression as an excuse. But it also opened up a full-on conversation about mental health in Malaysia. Some people are saying, hey, if you have a mental illness, then look for a doctor. People are kind of supportive of that idea in some places.
But of course, Malaysia can be a toxic place, so...
If you look at some of these other ones though, like this one by Mook XOXO, you can see that the reaction is not so welcoming. Some people say, depressed, the only way to avoid it is to solat.
Sure.
Betul lah kena solat, solat tu tiang agama. Tak ada tiang cama nak pasak bumbung. Some people scream pondan, for example. Some people say, are you putting aside our scripture? Even as some people call people who raise this point enablers. But yeah, all of these comments are not really enabling a good conversation. And it just makes me wonder how that affects society, given that this kind of advice is so normalized that, hey, if you have any depression or anything else out there, you don't need to go for treatment. It's too expensive. It doesn't follow ketetapan agama. Just go and pray. Doesn't even matter if you come out with these good examples, like Bid Iqbal Chun did by talking about correlation versus causation. You're gonna have people saying, ooh, anti blah blah blah, and even responses by people like Redro Sounds, who says, you got your own belief, do your own belief. Muslims has their own ways and you don't have every right to provoke our religious way, as if he's a representative of all Muslims. Who are you to judge our holy blah blah? Just a kid who loves anime that want to talk about Al-Fatiha? You are not even Islam if you post something like this. Why do you have to be a problematic? I mean, they're basically calling him a kafir. I'm pretty sure that's the name of a person who happens to be Muslim. Would a non-Muslim talk about topics like this? The reason I'm even interested in this is because there's somebody in my Discord, Sepupu HQ, join us,
link in the description,
who said that he used to be part of a sekolah agama and he has certain kinds of mental issues, and he complained only for people in the school to tell him to go and pray even more, which is like, huh? I'm not making a declaration about whether praying works or doesn't work. I'm just asking the question.
Can you really pray your way out of mental health problems?
And this actually extends over to not just our religion of the Federation, but also to Christianity, Buddhism, Taoism, or any number of other things. I've heard a lot of people say things like, well, if you're feeling sad, depressed, then look to him and he will give you peace, which I think is well-intentioned and everything. And in a way, I think that maybe it is true to a degree. If you feel the presence of a higher power and you have a relationship with that higher power, then by all means. But I guess the problem comes about when you have people literally saying, hey, don't do anything, just go and pray. You would think to yourself that with all the advances that we have in modern psychology, therapy, and psychotherapy, that maybe there would be something beyond just people going out there and telling you to go and pray. Religious mental health classes conducted by people trying to manipulate Singapore's general elections. But, well, apparently this kind of advice is well and a lie. In making this video, I'm not saying that all this stuff doesn't actually work. I'm sure that for some people, it has actually worked. It was actually effective. But yeah, whenever I see all of these sumbang mahram, drug addiction, and all sorts of horrible habits, especially in our most religious states, you have to then ask yourself, right? Like, what actually is the role of religion then? Like, what does it actually do? How does it actually help?
But regardless of the role of religion,
personally, I feel like mocking or demeaning people's mental health issues is extremely irresponsible. I mean, it kind of feels like prescribing an antibiotic to someone when the problem could actually be a virus, a fungus, any number of other causes not listed. And it really just makes me wonder about what's happening out there in our entire society. Because when I look at people writing racist comments, screaming out kafir, acting out, making fake accounts, doing things like mocking the prophet, stepping on a holy book, whatever the race or religion, I can't help but think that there's an actual mental health pandemic that's going on in Malaysia right now that we are just not noticing, because we're literally just saying that the solution to all of this is just to go out there and pray. Go to church, go to the mosque, involve yourself more in religious activity, do everything else under the sun apart from seeking treatment. But yeah, I want to know what you think, especially if you're a mental health professional or if you've gone through this kind of depression or otherwise. If we really do have a mental health problem that has to be cured with techniques from mental health and not necessarily from religion, or if there really is a way to actually do that with religion, or if it's not actually possible, then
Should we be relying on the advice of people who want religion to be the answer but actually don't know what they're talking about?
alright, that's all to say about that, and bye.